Mike Gill and Qrash.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, Qrash. Well, we got one for you today. We're going to call it, well, we're still uncertain, but we're going to tell this. We're going to play to win. To let that be the theme of what we're doing here and the three parts that we're going to send you. So let me set all this up, what you're going to see, and more importantly, what we're doing. See, what you're seeing here is evidence and facts. And that evidence comes with witnesses, hundreds of witnesses, eyewitnesses on what I'm going to show you from here. So what we've got to do is start this. Ready? We're going to talk to you about December 18th, 2020, Oval Office in Flynn. The request was for the settlement. Okay? Now, all right, we can hit them with the settlement from December 18th. All right? Because what we're going to do is take you to stages. We're going to take you from December 18th, Flynn, right there, right to the Department of Justice. And you're going to see the Department of Justice and the evidence that we gave them. That is the Pandora's box, the money laundering network of this country that leads right to the Senate and the Congress, each one of them. And we're going to show you, and we have a path to get in there. And all you're seeing will be evidence. So you ready? We're going to take you from Flynn to the DOJ, back to Flynn and the insurrection, and from Flynn to these podcasters that were working all with Flynn, including Michelle Moore, to Arizona. And we broke up that brokered convention. We did. You want to know? Listen to that tape, and you tell me what happened. And what was Plan B? Assassination? Maybe just not of Trump. I was being threatened at that time. So you see, let's put all three together, a path. And what it does, it incriminates the Department of Justice. It shows that Flynn's working with the Department of Justice as an agent. What was he? Defense intelligence? He trained the CIA and MK Ultra? They're using that against us, the people out there. That's what these podcasters were. I mean, what is it? How many more podcasters coming up? CIA. I work for the CIA. What's this? A retirement community of CIA agents working and podcasting? Perfect.
Seems like
I mean, geez, what are we doing? Okay. So now we're going to take you through there, into Flynn, into the Arizona, all of it. And we're going to tie in to Flynn again. And we're going to fly into the insurrection plan. Okay. Excellent. That was exactly where we go. So what does Flynn ask for? Request for? Can you email an image of the settlement agreement? Okay. So now we look. Now there's not in question. They're not saying they weren't in communications with me. You didn't hear them say that. I mean, how do you deny it? All right. So now the signed settlement. Okay, Qrash. How did he know about a settlement? I hadn't talked to Flynn yet. I didn't even know. Request Flynn. Flynn was not in my area of thought. It was getting the evidence of the Pandora's box, what you're going to see in the Department of Justice letterhead. Was the evidence that Flynn was looking for, because the Department of Justice, who knew what I had, and you know that's true because you will see the evidence in their own description of what I gave them and who they gave it to. So you now know the Department of Justice, right after the election, Trump gets beat. Then Trump's trying to stay in office. And what did we have? Flynn and Patrick Burns running around the country with Sidney Powell corrupting audits. Colorado, Arizona, which I have proof, eyewitnesses. And you have a tape. Back the hell out of that one. Now, right? Now no one's touching Flynn. The Department of Justice is still in play. It's the only possible way. All right. So let's go. So what do we hit? Let's hit that document list, right? No, no,
wait.
Qrash, the document list. This is Lullen. Okay, so what you're going to see is a document list.
Sorry.
That's all right. I have them always in good order.
Well,
That's a joke.
yeah, that's the problem. Okay, the document list.
with Lowen. The first page. Now what you see is right. This
Wait a minute.
is the Department of Justice.
Hang on a second. I don't
Go
have.
ahead.
You didn't give me the DOJ again.
No, the evidence list. The first page evidence list.
The they're so out of order here. I have.
The first couple I gave you.
Okay. Well, they're not in order. That's my problem. That one?
No, the Department of Justice one, the
See,
very end. It said 642, 642. Well, Qrash is looking for. What I'm saying is, what you're going to see is this is Department of Justice's own letterhead. It is a description of evidence by United States Attorney Lowen. This isn't an agent, right? This isn't a receptionist. This is the United States Attorney for New England. He, at that time, was the most powerful law enforcement person in this country next to the Attorney General of the United States. Did you find that, Qrash?
yeah, but you didn't send them to me, so I got to send them over and download it. So it's giving me.
Okay. All right. I thought that I did.
You did yesterday, I believe, but I didn't. You told me I didn't need yesterday's.
Okay. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay. So
we're always so organized here.
Right. Hey, listen. This could only bring down an evil empire. Now, with this on this evidence list, right? I'm going to show you where. Now, what you see in the beginning is evidence taken for Lowen, is the Pandora's box. It is the money laundering network of the deep state. Exactly, Qrash. It is the direction of $1 trillion that went from Pandora Papers into the money laundering network into New Hampshire. Where is it connected to? The Senate. Where they turn around, we wanted you to do audit the Senate. So let's pick up a couple of senators. That's what this get. That's what Shaheen done. So let's connect this. How about this? Did you notice that Senator Shaheen just retired? No shit. Just like she refused to be vetted for VP with Biden. Why? She can't be examined. Not by somebody honest. All right. So let's take a look at this. So if you look, what we're doing in the very beginning, you'll see the IRS. Okay, so when he asked for the settlement, he knows what's on the settlement. Now, if you look at these documentations, the IRS is on there. All right, Qrash, find the one with the 50 million settlement. So now you see that they asked for that Flynn asked for the 50 million settlement. What I would ask you is one, how did Flynn even know who I was? How did he know my telephone number with only one man in the world who had it that the FBI snatched up? And why the settlement? Because the settlement was dangerous. Because the Department of Justice, who is running Flynn, tells him, listen, Flynn's going to move on December 18th. That's the implementation point. The crew just came from Linwood, right? Linwood, the lawyer, working with Flynn and Patrick Burns and Powell. And they come, where do they go from there? To Washington. They have an insurrection lawsuit written up by Powell, who was Flynn's lawyer. And did you guys know that she worked for the Department of Justice, Pinheads? Right. My God.
Yeah, I didn't know that till you said it.
Her responsibility was appeals. I mean, kick the shit out of the possibility of appeal. Wow, she'd be the perfect one to have Trump not get an appeal. Well, who wrote the lawsuit? Well, she did. How's that for a setup, boys and girls? And Trump's lawyers in the room or friends in the room said, don't sign it, don't sign it. Thank God.
I know.
But that was the setup. So wait a minute. So the Department of Justice goes to Flynn. What could screw this up? Gill. Mike Gill. Right. There's evidence. We got it right here. You know what those things say also? That our boy Lowen sends all my evidence to the Attorney General of the United States, Sessions, and then Barr. Now, why would he do that? First of all, ready? Do you know The United States attorney doesn't collect your evidence. He don't meet you. He prosecutes you. The assistants, well, they don't meet you either. The FBI gathers that evidence and turns their case over to the United States attorney. And you know what? They skipped all that shit. You know me knocking on the doors of the FBI and the DOJ, calling them out. And then Llewellyn calls me and asks me personally, can I have that? Can I have this particular evidence? And I'm going to show you that evidence. And it's the way in.
Let me
It's
ask you
also a
something.
way to get your ass killed. But
Let me ask you something before you go on.
yeah,
You're saying that Flynn, you didn't know Flynn, and Flynn didn't know you, and the only way he would have known your evidence is to get it, be part of the DOJ. Had given it to him.
there you go. Now, Chief worked with the DOJ too. So, in other words, the DOJ is the active member here. But Flynn didn't know me from a hole in the wall. At least I didn't know. I didn't know Flynn.
Right.
But then Flynn got that stuff, but never the settlement. So, in other words, why? How did he know that? Why did he ask for it? Right? Then you're even going to see with the settlement, right? He even asked for an affidavit because the other screenshot was on the screenshot was him asking me for the to sign an affidavit, meaning they got the evidence and they wanted the affidavit. And again, on December 18th, 2020, again from the Oval Office. Right. Can you image a settlement? Well, wait a minute. Look at this. Sign a Smith. Okay, thanks. I'm trying to put a work on. Right. So, in other words, it came from Flynn, the fact of the settlement. Okay. You see the settlement on the Department of Justice description of evidence. You've seen that settlement amongst all this other evidence. But remember now, we're piercing this. Remember that shell that I told you about? We don't have to attack every angle. We attack one. We use our best efforts and our best force to pierce this. And what we're doing is things that are piercing. So that settlement now, he asked for the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice goes, listen, if you're going to put this into play, you got to take out Gill. Because the one way out is to expose to the American people that Congress and the Senate and your corrupt government has been stealing the trillions. That's what's in New Hampshire. That's what Bill Shaheen and the Clintons built and the DOJ built. Hey, guess what? Ready? You know where Bill Shaheen used to work? Oh, the Department of fucking Justice, the United States Attorney. Oh, his partner? Well, he was the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice, Gordon. I mean, hello? Oh, and who did he represent? Maxwell. Who is he campaign manager for? Clinton. Who's the leading opiate lobbyist in the country? Bill Shaheen. What?
When you say Maxwell, you're talking Ghislaine Maxwell.
Damn straight. You know why? She was in New Hampshire? Right. Protection. They go to New Hampshire, because they're protected by their blackmail.
Right.
But sometimes they become more dangerous. All right. So let's turn around like this. So he asked for that, the settlement. You know the Department of Justice had that and all that evidence. And why is all the settlement? Why did he turn down 50 million? Well, it has to do with maybe what's on the settlement now, doesn't it? Or who's on it. So let's hit that, right? So in other words, I'm sorry. All right, we're going to do that. All right, hit that.
Yeah, which one you want? You're out of order, so tell me what you need.
The first page in the settlement.
Okay, the settlement.
So let's identify it.
The email or the non-disclosure?
Let's do the non-disclosure first.
Okay, that's what you had. Okay, that was what was.
Oh, hell, you mean it was in order? All right. So understand this. Now, I'm not seeing all of this, but what you're seeing here is this. There's a stipulation of a confidential agreement, meaning it turns out there was 18,184 documents that they had that they couldn't want to release. 18,000. You wonder if they're guilty? So this is them saying, hey, listen, Mike, take the 50, but you can't say anything. I said, well, I told them to go F themselves, but let's go on. So on this list, we have the list of names that want releases. Now, on those names, now let's think about it. Flynn asked for this agreement. This agreement is because what it is and then who it incriminates. It's a key that can open a door to the laundering network. It's who created the laundering network. It's who started the laundering network. Okay. So each of these people, and this is a legal document. All
Now,
of these legal documents.
It's blurry, we know, but this is the best Mike could do with what he's got on his computer at the time, right now. I mean, this document is hard copy is handed over to Lelling. So this is what we have.
And if you go to the video, the list, you'll even see more of the copies and so forth.
Yeah, it's clear on that video.
Oh, yeah, very clear. Okay, now let's go to the page with Bill Shaheen. All these names that you're going to see, we're going to try to keep it simple because they won't mean so much to you. But there's the Ted Littles, there's the Maria Pizzuto, every lawyer, every accountant that I had, employees of my companies that turned out to be moles and spies, which were all evidence and witnesses. Now,
okay, I'm gonna page through each one here because I know they can't see it, but if anybody wants to screenshot it, they can maybe clear it up. And
good idea, Qrash.
And I'm just gonna put these all. So this is the next page in that affidavit or that settlement.
Okay, and there's Alex Walker, the president of Divine Millimet. Where is he now? He's the CEO of Manchester. What's a Manchester hospital? Catholic Medical Center in Manchester.
Okay.
Right, the cartel runs. He runs treatment centers for the cartels. And what's everybody running around with Medicaid expansion, going broke because they're stealing all the money? Who do you think's doing it? Cartel and hospital. Alex Walker. Alex Walker worked for me for over 10 years as my personal lawyer. I know Alex Walker. He's a creepy son of a bitch. And that's what he did.
I see Lisa Tracy, Anna Goss here. I see.
No, not Anna Goss. That was another. Again,
I'm sorry.
That was another. We get a lot of Greeks.
Yeah. I see Shaheen.
My father used to always say, a joke I should never say. I should say. My father said, a Greek friend never leaves a friend behind. Anyhow, there's Ted Little. Remember Ted Little? He's afraid to die, have his children be murdered, and he's a lawyer. They're all asking for releases, all of it. But the possible one is Bill Shaheen. Hit that one now. Now remember who Bill Shaheen was, right? Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. This is the Clintons. This is what Gene Shaheen's retiring. He built this money laundering network as working with the DOJ. They put this together. The DOJ sells protection to these criminals. These lawyers and law firms are all connected to the DOJ. It's a bunch of corrupt lawyers controlling your courts. And you know what their junior lawyers get? Oh, they get to move up to judges, which is they control your courts. You know what you see on that list of evidence? Judicial corruption. I don't know. Do you think we might have judicial corruption? Where do you think they stop us? Every way. See? So in other words, if you get the judges, you get them back with the law firms that run it, you get the DOJ, this is where the money. So again, the game isn't catching everybody as much as it is to catch their money and roll everything back. It simplifies it all. And that's what I did. Playing to win. I went for their dough. That exposes them. Okay, hit that Qrash. So in other words, there's Shaheen, right? That gets us in.
What am I hitting? Which one?
what do we had next?
Well, here's what you had up for this.
This is
part of that.
Oh, right. I want you to get there. Okay, I'll get you there. Now, this is the back page, last page of the settlement. Okay. So who's on the settlement? Now, let's think about this.
This is more clear. I'm going to show you this. That's clear.
Oh, much clearer. Okay. Yeah. Now, who's on the settlement? Right? That's Bill Shaheen. Now, who else? The IRS. The IRS wants to pay me $50 million. Well, wait a minute. What's else on there? Department of Revenue? That's the state taxes. The banking department and banking commission? What do they all have in common? That's the DRA, right? They audit. They're all auditors. except for they don't. Don't you get it? Jerry Little, who was then the banking department commissioner thereafter, right? He writes a bill as a state senator. If I trust you, I don't have to audit. Then he takes the job. Why? Because he was already sitting on a powder keg. And what happens when the Pandora Papers gets announced? Jerry Little's off like a prom dress. How's that? After I called him out. Okay? So, in other words, the secret to all this is that Musk is saying we got to audit, right? The damn straight. You've got to audit the IRS, the Treasury. You got to see if we still got our money. Anybody find that gold, by the way?
Not yet.
We've got to turn around and audit every senator. I know Hassan and Shaheen goes back to the cartel. Why do you think Hassan's retiring and refused to be vetted by Biden as a VP? They can't have you go there. I'm shipping them to you. There's one of 50. Hey, Bill, why are you on Mike Gill's 50? Want you as a lawyer? What'd you do? Oh, you run a laundry network? Shut them down? Right. That's it. So think about this. So we got the IRS, we got the Department of, think about, isn't that what's happening now? The IRS with Hunter Biden, they had him. You're not getting those. What about Congress? What about Pelosi? Anybody auditing them?
Not yet.
We can do that. This includes, ready? Well, think about this. This is Bill Shaheen. You got to audit the Senate. Doesn't that get Bill? So we audit the Senate. You audit, senators, you audit cost their spouse, their family, because they're not going to make it easy for you. But you've got to look at, listen, did Hunter Biden handle a little Joe Biden's business? Did his brother handle a little Biden? Should we have audited them? Should we still? Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing. So let's make sure you're not wasting your time. Let's follow the theory here. Bill Shaheen on a $50 million money laundering network. Bill Shaheen represented the cartel. Who's on? Ready? Lullen's evidence list. The cartel. So if you investigate, audit Senator Shaheen, you get Billy Boy, or what I like to call Billy Bob. Billy used to own his first business, Bill Shaheen, with Gene's brother. Right. It was called Bill and Bob's.
Billy Bob.
I call him Billy Bob, like in Thornton. It's in Swing Blade. That's how I see the asshole. Now, guess what happens? They get busted for selling stolen jewelry.
Oh, yeah?
Bill Shaheen becomes the United States attorney, and the brother goes to jail. How do you do? That's Bill Shaheen, you assholes. And he's running the Senate.
I'm sure he threw his brother under the bus.
Went to jail.
Yeah.
That's a bus he took.
Yeah.
Now, which I talked to. Anyhow, listen, so Bill Shaheen, the DOJ's hiring crooks. You got to be a crook. It's good to be one from the beginning. It's in your blood. But no, let's think about this. We audit Gene Shaheen. We get Bill. Did you know Bill owned pain clinics? The people don't know that, but I pulled up your LLCs, didn't I, you little bastard? You know this thing, Pain Care, that he's one of the owners. He's selling OxyContin, fentanyl too.
Wow.
Including representing them. So if all of a sudden you get Gene Shaheen, you get Bill built the laundering network, well, wait a minute. And then he hit it off to Sununu. Are we going to get Sununu too? Are we going to get the banking commissioner? Maybe that's why his ass resigned. Maybe that's why Senator Shaheen's resigned. Maybe that's why Sununu's not running for governor. Ain't that a coincidence?
Yeah.
See? So listen, we ain't far off. That's direct. That's what should happen. That's what you question them on that. Where'd you get that money? How'd you get that money? All right. So now, you know what was critical in all this with the IRS? I filed with TICA, a criminal division, right? This was Treasury Inspector, to investigate the IRS. You know what they told me? This is the worst case of fraud and corruption and money laundering ever. 3 years of feeding Tom Morley this evidence.
Before you go any further, I think you're getting off track for one thing. On that and that I call it an NDA, that non-disclosure agreement. I'm just going to put
Yeah.
it up here. You
Yeah.
never signed it.
No.
Okay. And if you look on the front page, when you watch this video and rewind, if you want to rewind it, you
Yeah.
can see it says draft, meaning you didn't sign it, but they did. This is Curly's signature on that, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And if you look at the, oh, right, exactly. Listen, I have never asked for a settlement. Not
Right.
once,
Now,
ever.
Curly is their lawyer.
Is Morris Mahoney's lawyer
Right.
representing
Representing
Liberty Mutual.
Liberty Mutual. And
Liberty Mutual, who wanted to pay me the $50 million.
And okay, because I did a video, because everybody does, no one understands the documents you have. You show us what you have, but there's things that Lelling has that
There's
so
a lot, and there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And there's
So
a lot for me to go over and tell you what it all means. But I can tell you, when people say the Pandora's box, it's more than what you think that it is. It's a situation of moves and evidence and witnesses that got us here.
right.
So this is extraordinarily dangerous
And
to them.
this is your email correspondence, which they all argue about, that you had in. You gave me this image. I didn't know if you were going to skip over it, but
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to skip over. I missed it. So what
Okay.
it is right? The settlement is they're putting communicating with Perusis, my lawyer,
your lawyer,
who works for them now. But
imagine that.
I was saying no. I was saying, listen, what I was saying in all these emails, listen, I never asked for any money. So 50 million wasn't a problem. And listen, I was a wealthy guy more. I didn't need their money. I had my own. Now, when I turned around and said, but I won't give them releases, you see it in there. I will not give them releases. And that document you've seen that wasn't signed was those releases.
Right.
And if you go before that document that we didn't include here, is a 44-page report by Marisa Pursuto, who was my lawyer at the time, who did that research and posted it without even knowing it. And guess what, boys and girls? Somehow that made its way to U.S. Attorney Lullen.
Right.
United States, he put it in the documentation and I didn't give it to his ass. How's that one?
Yeah.
But you know what? They're worried about ways in. Listen, these are smart guys. This Department of Justice, the U.S. attorneys like Jack Smith, it's the best of the best of what is evil, but they're good at what they're doing. Now, so see the focus with Lullen. Give me those letters, Qrash. Now, the thing with Lullen was what he wanted from me. Now, think about this. Again, they prosecute, right? They prosecute. They don't investigate the evidence. They get the evidence from the FBI, who does the investigation for the DOJ. He calls me up and he wants those letters. Those letters. And you know what? This was after this picture was taken from the United States DOJ, the U.S. attorney in New Hampshire, that mailed them back to me. You see there, see those letters from the IRS? Those are letters of communications from the IRS. The only problem is they're all sealed, never been opened in 3 years, and the guy collecting them is Curtis Morley, an accountant who's a brother of Curtis Morley, Titka.
Wait, Thomas. Wait, who was collecting them? Thomas Morley.
Tom Morley was the Titka agent I was working with for 3 years.
Okay.
Tom Morley, I get a phone call. Actually, I get someone coming in, that envelope. I get that envelope and I see all those letters. Erin Day's on the side of me, by the way. Then I go upstairs, Eileen's there, and the phone rings. You know who it is? Patrick. Oh, I won't forget. I wrote this guy's name down.
I don't remember other than Patrick Howell.
I remember this guy, but it's Patrick. I'll get it. But the thing here is from the IRS. And he calls me to take a deal and all this. And I'm going, the fuck's coincidence? I get off the phone. Erin Day's sitting next to me. I call Tom Morley, my Titka agent. Tom, what's going on? I just got this. He goes, I can never speak to you again. What?
Okay.
He goes, you've got to talk to this Tim Camus. And he gave me a number. And it was a race to the number. And this asshole didn't hang up, but he beat me. The problem was he was still on the speaker. Aaron Day, Project Veritas, recorded him. We have moles in his office. It
Right.
was a cover-up of the IRS in the first degree. We have the letters.
So
They're
who was
sealed.
Curtis? Curtis was
Curtis Morley was the accountant.
accountant, and
He didn't open those letters.
he's the one that. Okay, I just want to make sure.
He held them for Titka. So when I caught him, then they didn't hang up. Then we got Tim Campus, the Inspector General of Treasury, saying we put plants and moles in his fucking office. How's that? So all of a sudden, ring, ring, U.S. Attorney Lullen on the line. He wants those envelopes. He got those envelopes. He got that FedEx envelope. He got the originals, but we pictured it. We videotaped going in under camera. So that bastard owns it. You want to know if he took it serious? What did he do with it? He sent it to the Attorney General of the United States. You know what he said to himself? Listen, I ain't getting hung over this. I'm going to turn around and take his evidence and give it to the AG. Listen.
And that's Bill Barr, right?
That's Bill Barr. If
Yeah.
I go down to you, I'm taking you with me. That's how it works. That's blackmail and extortion. Barr turns around, calls Flynn. Barr was working at that time. Oh, that's right. To sink Trump. Oh, who was he working with? Durham. The same two assholes I was working with. So think about it. They were there, and all they worked for was the DOJ. I mean, it's time to get it pretty off. This is how they moved it. So the only person who knew was them. And the thing was, you want to know if it could save Trump? Listen, it can save you. It can save us. This wasn't about politics. This was about the American people. This is why you're broke. Do you know why they're playing with these tariffs? Because you're broke and they have to generate revenue. They made deals with all those foreign countries, and those payoffs went through Pandora's papers, into Pandora's box in New Hampshire, into Senator fucking Shaheen and Bill Shaheen. And that's what's paying these criminals. And that's why you have back doors to the Cayman Islands buying our bonds, Luxembourg buying our bonds. As one of the leaders of buying. When I say your bonds, I'm saying your debt. And what did China say the other day? I'm thinking about calling in all our bonds, just like we said they could. A call on the bank. What it is we are in a vulnerable position, not because America wasn't prosperous. It's because they stole your money. They stole your taxes. You see they're cutting and cutting and cutting. You've got to keep cutting, but you've got to find where they stole it and put your money. Because it gets into the bigger. What about these pharmaceuticals? Military. You don't think they're hiding stuff?
Right.
All what's wrong is you find where their money is. And why they consolidated it? Well, think about it. Why would you take a small state like New Hampshire and consolidate such a thing? Because on a risk factor, it would be the easiest way. It's the easiest thing to protect. You don't want 50 states. You don't want big states. You don't want to have leaks. You take a small state. You control it completely. That's what the Department of Justice did with Shaheen. That's why Bill Shaheen on there, that's one breath away from Maxwell. One breath from Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Right, the Senate. We're into the fucking Senate. And remember her buddy Menendez? Oh, right. He just got charged, what is it, for espionage with Egypt. What,
Yeah.
11 years? That's her buddy in the Senate. You think we would have found something? Listen, he's going to jail. And listen, you know why they gave you him? Because he could have get you them. That's the rule. You go to jail when you can send them to jail. That's Epstein. And he refused to stay in jail. Then they killed him. Maxwell goes, sounds like a deal to me. And the poor girl, one of the girls that just was one of the leaders of putting this up with Epstein.
Yeah.
Right. And she just committed suicide. See? So it's all victims. They all make it. Listen, did you get the Epstein files? I didn't see any names. What is it? JFK? Oh, a lone gunman? Well, thanks for that one. They never give you shit because they never want you to see the depth of reality. Although they're dragging you into this depth of the reality. See, did you notice that the GDP for the last quarter this year turn to shit. We're going in the other direction, just as I told you. And that doesn't even include the tariffs. So in other
Right.
words, we're already in decline. As a gross domestic product, we're already in decline. Times are coming. Not for them. They stole your money. Now it's about covering it up. And you don't know where all these roots go. But that way you can. And that way you win. You want to play to win? That's the way to win. Was it that? Can you hit me with the last thing here? We'll go. Now remember now, from here, now you know where we got the evidence, and you can see that yourself. Now from here, right? This is Titka. Now Titka, remember? Roland asked for the evidence. You know who calls me? Titka. And you know what? Look at this. Regarding spoke about yesterday. Oh, another case number. That's my fourth case number. And what am I telling him? Trump does know. Because they're wondering if I gave it to Trump. Now, this is just before Flynn. So the DOJ sends it to Barr. Titka is calling me saying, hey, here's a case number. And they're also calling my son Mike and gave him 3 case numbers to have me settle.
For those that don't know, what is TITCA?
Treasury Inspector General of Taxation Administration.
Okay.
What they do is they manage and supervise the IRS and the collection of that money. Right. Okay. So they supervise. They could turn around and take them out. So this case against the IRS, 3 years. That's what Llewellyn wanted. It was a front. And you know something? Titka panicked. This guy reached out to me, Marco Sorelli, that's his name. And you know where he told me to go to? Plantation, Florida. Except for he wouldn't take the evidence. Why? Because it was about a settlement, not about proving anything. Another case number. That's Sorelli. Those text messages, all evidence. Titka knows. You didn't. Titka did. So what was it? The DOJ, Titka tried to stop me before I got to Trump. DOJ says we're getting closer. Do you know where I was weeks before? It's all on video. I was in front of the Department of Justice. And you see it on the video. They knew where I was going. They knew I was trying to get to Trump. And they were blocking me. I was followed each and every time I was going. Now, so then Titka reaches out to catch me before Trump's out, and they could use that. Again, money laundering. There's the example. There are the names. Okay. So then, once we turn around and had December 18th, the text messages, then Flynn asked for the settlement. Then this came over. And what he wanted was a declaration, an affidavit. And where we're going to go from here, right? You can show that next page of the affidavit page. This is the first page of a 15 pages. But what we're going to do from the next podcast we're going to bring you into Flynn. We're going to take you in December 18th. We're going to go over this 15-page affidavit. We're going to go over some of the evidence that I sent him. We're going to show you the emails, the text messages, who was involved. Mike Grindell, Planet Fitness, right? It started there, too. He's involved in all this, which is another reason why I was thinking I was going to get snuffed in Arizona. This connects to all of it. So from here, we're going to take you there. But now think about it. We got the Department of Justice turning around and wanting that evidence and sending Flynn to meet me through Barr. Now we got Flynn, we got Barr, we got Durham, we got Sessions, we get the Department of Justice in Llewellyn, and we get to say, well, what the hell did you do with it all? Don't tell it wasn't important, or you don't send it to the AG. Don't tell it's important, because Flynn's going to say, hey, they sent me. You know the beauty about Flynn is, even his own people don't trust him. That's why Lynn Wood's recording him, Stacy Burke's recording him. That's why Harris records it. It's a recording nightmare. Because they're all filthy and dishonest, and they need to blackmail one another. So they won't deny it. What are they going to say? We get Elvira on text. So this is where we're going to take you. We're going to take you to the next podcast into that December 11th meeting. And from there, the evidence and the exchange for 3 solid weeks every day, those communications. It's what Flynn has now.
And that
And
took us to J6, basically.
that's it. And
Yeah.
why do you think after that, right? After I called out Flynn, after that Jace insurrection, I was gone. They couldn't find me. I was isolated as they're isolated and broke without Social Security. I was sleeping in a car. It was unregistered and uninspected, but had to stay alive. I
And
knew what I had.
Michelle Moore witnessed all that with you.
Well, what happened was in reaching out and stumbling into the podcast world one guy who had 41 followers, Andy, I did it. And the next thing, but then it was Michelle Moore, and then it was Flynn. And we're going to do this. We're going to have another podcast. We're going to have that from the Flynn. We're going to include those podcasters, including Michelle Moore, and how they steered me to Arizona, and how Elvire tried to make a movie. Each one. Listen, the first rule was flip them. He's broke, he's starving, flip him. That was Juan calling every day. And we have communications, and I gave Qrash some, we're kind of preparing for the next one, but it's all connected. And then when you turn around and say no, by the time the brokered convention came, it was time to make me go away. We got Mike Grandel saying, hey, I got 800 million on the line here. That's enough to snuff you. Flynn turns around and Gill's out of the way. Guess what? And the Sinaloa cartels me, I hit a home run. Flynn turns around and goes, yeah, well, he's going after the cartel in Arizona. Now no one's with this information with Flynn. The DOJ off like a prom dress. There it is. All you got to do is kill Gill. And it isn't like they didn't try before. And it isn't like they weren't threatening me then. Now, was it? That will be in the other podcast, the next podcast, and that's something the DOJ can investigate. Or how about this? Patel. Hey, Patel, these are your buddies. Bongino, you piece of shit. I mean, who got rich doing podcasts more than Bongino did?
Right.
Anybody go to jail now? They are going to be masters of the camouflage, the head fake. All right? They can say, hey, we got this, we got that. You got shit. Here's this. Ready? Audit the Senate or shut up. Audit Congress or you're not working for us. We're broke. They stole it. They helped steal it. And you're letting them off the hook. To me, that becomes one of them. And if you don't call out the DOJ, and listen, the DOJ was anxious to put Trump in jail, and now they're fucking buddies?
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Smith didn't have a closed case. That's what he said. And he did. Hey, what about those 77 witnesses? What about the case against Trump? They were supposed to release all those. Did you get them?
Nope.
I think they're right behind those. How many sealed indictments are there? Thousands.
500,000.
I double it. Pull it. You know what? We're one. And we can pierce this. And think about this. The DOJ doesn't reach me. Ask for this if it wasn't going to hurt. See, that's the thing. Once I get probed, you tell me what you're afraid of. And that's what the fuck I become. So, oh, you don't like these letters? Oh, good. I got a place for these letters. And Flynn, oh, you guys, I'm on the phone with these guys. Yeah, Flynn, yeah. He's FBI, he's CIA, he's this, he's that, he's that. I said, nobody says he's not in these podcast world. Want me to tell you, this is a bad prediction. This is a prediction. It's a bad result. Well, one of the things that might come down and hurt these people, and I think they're thinking of it. You see what's going on with gold, right? And you see how much they sold that gold to you. You know what happens? And remember now, this is what I was. I mean, mortgages and finance, what you can do, what you can't do in the market. Listen, I did it better than anybody else because I made the most money doing it. There's a sign. Now, what I see is going to happen is in this recession, and that first quarter was already bad. And the rest is not going to go good. Those people, particularly elderly people, or people who lost their job, but elderly people, all of a sudden, things are more money, things are expensive, I lost this job. You're going to need that money that you put in the gold. And guess what? It's going to cost you half. They're going to steal half your money. In fact, the best time to have sold gold to you was right now. Right before it goes into the hole. You're thinking you're going to get money, rich, gold's going to get rich, except for you can't touch it. So you can either have gold or food.
Yeah.
See, I take food at this point, and so will you. And there's the trick. So guess what? All those people, gold's a great idea. You have Patriot Underground, that piece of shit. Hey, he starts the gold commercial, the whole thing. Who
He's
are
gold.
these people? Right. Their
Now,
own gold company. The
did you
money's
see?
not going to be in gold. It's going to be in the prepayment penalties.
Right. Did you see the post that I don't know if I shared it, but there's a Phil Godleski post, not from Phil, but it's a post about him. They're having some, I don't know, extravaganza. I don't know what it is, but they're
Oh,
asking.
Jesus. You had to say that. Michelle just said
Sorry,
Mom's extravaganza the other day.
sorry.
Holy shit.
But they're asking you to bring your coins, like your silver coins and your gold coins, and they're going to store them for you. They're going to hold them in the vault, a vault somewhere. I didn't read
It
it.
still is.
I'm
Right.
like, are you
Hey,
kidding
I
me?
know. I got an idea. Let's put them in the Maserati. Huh? Well, hide them in the trunk. Hey, listen, they stole all your, listen, they turned your retirement is going to get half of that. And listen, Phil stole more half. I've seen those text communications. Hey, listen, I did it all illegally, but you're still half. But
Right.
think how much money people are going to be rushing to that money to use their savings to find out that they're paying a prepayment penalty. And for what?
They're
Oh, we're
prepping.
going to hold your gold. Listen, I didn't say a gold or silver was a bad investment. I just
No,
told you, you don't
buy
deal
it.
with crooks. You don't
Right.
buy from a Phil. You don't buy from Michelle Moore. She was sending me to Arizona. We're going to save this for the next one. It's a good one. But my point being is this thing, and it's also looking to cash out because once this gold starts crashing, not gold crashing, but once the prepayment
Economy.
penalties.
Oh,
Right. People start getting hurt, losing. Then you know what you do? You call the Department of Justice and you say, hey, listen, is this bait and switch? It is. And you know what? Those podcasters are in trouble. And they could also be low hanging fruit. I've got to think some of our boys are in danger and girls, the strippers and the rappers and all those assholes. Right. So, in
yeah.
other words, people are going to get hurt. They're going to start complaining. As things were going up, they don't get hurt. Remember the Ponzi scheme, FRM? I caught that Ponzi scheme 4 years before anybody said anything. And then when it did hit, what happened in 2008? The crash, the stock market crashed, right? Not stock, but real estate market started crashing, started going down because of the stock market. And guess what? Ponzi schemes like that get wiped out because all of a sudden said, hey, I got 10 mortgages on this property. I thought we had one.
Yeah.
And remember now, this is what's going to happen on gold. All of a sudden now, people are going to need money for retirements and so forth and going broke, lay it off and so forth, let go, buyouts. And
It
all of a
won't be
sudden,
there. It won't be there.
they're all going to get hurt. And think about this. Why do you think I'm so sensitive to that? One of the things that I did with FRM was meeting with those elderly people that were at the last stages of their life and wanted to live in dignity. It's funny I'm here now. I understood then. I understood their pain. And it wasn't too much to ask for them. And you know something? The same thing's going to happen. The people have took those retirement, they worked their lifetimes for, not to live like wealthy people, just to survive the rest of their days. And that's what you steal? Why do you think we've got 80-year-old people working in supermarkets?
Yeah.
This is going to be, and I'm telling you, I'm not guessing. This will happen. No, it might happen a little later in the year because things are going to still go down. But as they go down, people are going to hear their money. That's what they're doing. They're suppressing the complainers. I knew Michelle had a woman that lost everything. She didn't go on the air with that. She didn't tell people. And do you know it's multi-level marketing in this gold? They're not traders. They're saying if you buy again, they get paid again. They own you. That podcaster. They go to that gold company, they don't have to talk to you again, but that gold company pays them. That's
Right.
multi-level marketing. And then what they do is they get people who work for them selling the same bullshit. Multi-level.
And everyone gets paid under and above, and it just,
Right. That's what these things are. And then till all of a sudden it ends, and you got those guys who all made that money, and in their wake, the people who've lost everything in the worst times. Like, think about this: lose your job, lose your money into a bad recession. There is no jobs, and your government is questioned now about its own survivability financially. We can't forget about that. That's Elon Musk saying we're broke. We're heading for bankruptcy. And I hope he doesn't head to the gate. And I hope he has the courage to finish the job.
yeah.
But I can tell you this: if you don't audit the Senate and the Congress, it means you made a deal. You know, the art of the deal or whatever. Elon Musk knows that too. You don't compromise with this kind of evil. There's certain crimes you don't make deals with. So, okay. Was that it, Qrash?
That's it. Until
All
the
right.
next time.
The next one's we're going to take you to December 18th, 2020. We're going to take you in there and those communications. We're going to turn around and show you and you read through the best I can that affidavit. So you understand what Flynn has. Flynn's in power and he's safe now because you know who he's blackmailing? The DOJ.
All right.
And the DOJ, Trump can't get Flynn without getting the DOJ. Okay,
Yep.
Qrash. I'll talk
Okay.
to you.
See ya.
Bye.